Welcome to today's episode. Today, I'm going to be diving really deep into how you are programmed from your childhood to everything that has ever happened to you and how to reprogram yourself so that you can be who you want to be to create the life that you want. Let's dive in. When you look at our brains, at our minds work very, very similar to a sophisticated computer. Our minds and computers operate on a set of programs. And so when someone says you have been programmed, it doesn't mean that your parents specifically sat down and said, ooh, this is what we're going to make sure that she is like. But really what it comes down to is we pick up patterns, which AKA are basically programs. If you buy a computer with no programs on it, it's completely useless. It's not going to do very much. It needs a program to access the internet, a program to access PowerPoint, a program to play music. Everything that it runs off of are different different programs. Your brain works exactly the same way. Our brains are extremely complex, far more complex than any man-made computer. And it has very similar principles in the fact that, like a computer, the brain requires programming to function and run effectively in the world that we live in society, in order to be able to be domesticated, in order to work in society, right? When you go and you purchase a new computer, it doesn't, perform straight out of the box. You need to install everything that you need to install in order for it to get better, in order for you to do everything that you want. If you're the type of person who wants to record a podcast, well, then you might need GarageBand on your MacBook, or you might need another program, Logic, whatever it might be. The human brain, especially in really early developmental stages, requires installation of quote unquote programs. And these are all just basically programs. These can be behavioral patterns. They can be thought patterns that are all acquired from our environment and all of our experiences that we have. For me, my son was just born earlier this month, and it's awesome. So he's, at this point today, he is 19 days old. And it's cool for me to see because he's basically a computer with no programs built into him yet, right? The only real programs he knows how to do is basically eat. He knows how to go to the bathroom. He knows how to cry, and not a whole lot more than that. He doesn't even really have a program that can hold his head up at this point. So he's basically a clean slate. And most of his programs, I know from what I've been doing for so long, most of his programs on the world, on society, on the way that he thinks, his behaviors, what he thinks of himself, are going to be taught to him by myself and my wife, the way that we directly interact with him over the course of his first basically 7 years. The way that we directly interact with him, but also what he sees us doing in the way that we interact with the world. He's gonna learn how to treat a woman in the way that I treat his mother. He's gonna learn how relationships work by the way that our relationship works. So it's not always directly what we tell the children, but it's also what they see. And the thing that you want to know is that kids will not always do what you say, but they will almost always become who you are. And for those of you guys that are parents, that might scare the shit out of you. And it might give you more of a reason why you need to work even harder on yourself, is because you can tell your children to do something, but they're not always going to do it. But they can see you do something, and they are constantly picking up traits and behaviors and ways to act and ways to think and ways to speak to themselves and other people by just watching you exist. And so if you want to be happy, as we're talking about right here, wake up every single morning, and when you sit down and you meditate for 5 or 10 minutes, what I want you to do is I want you to think about what it would feel like to be happy, to be joyful, to feel amazing all day long. And you actually start to align your conscious and your subconscious feelings and thoughts towards that desired outcome. So that, everybody, is how to reprogram yourself. If you love this podcast, please do me a favor, share it on your Instagram stories and tag me at Rob Dial Jr. Also, if you love this podcast, you're going to love something that we just launched called Mindset Mentor Plus. It is something that I designed, and I've been coming up with it for years and trying to figure out how can I help people who listen to the podcast actively integrate every one of these episodes into their lives. And this is what Mindset Mentor Plus is. Every single episode that comes out of this podcast, Mindset Mentor Plus subscribers are going to get a whole lot more. You're going to get multiple page detailed worksheets, effectively a mini masterclass for every single episode that's more in depth than just the podcast, that comes with journaling questions, that comes with challenges and assignments, so that you're not just listening to the podcast, but you're actually integrating every single one of them into your life and making real changes so that you can improve your life a lot faster. Also, what we do in Mindset Mentor Plus is we do monthly Q&A sessions and more. So to learn more about it, just go to mindsetmentor.com. It is way less than $1 a day, which is what's awesome. And so if you want to learn more about it, go to mindsetmentor.com. And with that, I'm going to leave you the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make somebody else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day.